What's up, everybody? Welcome to Kinda Funny Games Daily for Monday, August 28th, 2017. I'm one of your hosts, Greg Miller, alongside the pure one at Tim Gettys.
Let Tim host.
How are you, sir?
I'm fantastic.
Really fantastic?
Oh, yeah, man. The game was last night.
Oh, God.
Yeah. I still haven't seen Death Note. I've seen parts of it.
Okay.
I watched 20 minutes of it.
Sure,
so I have
sure.
that to look forward to tonight. Bachelor Monday. It's a good time to be Tim Gettys.
It is a good time. Any games you're into right now?
Games I'm into. There's a lot of games I'm into. It's not on the Roper Report. I'm going to jump ahead real quick. I'm adding another one to the report. This is the Tim Gettys report.
55.
Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle.
Yeah.
85 on Metacritic.
Oh, yeah. That's
Pretty-
does that feel like a Metacritic thing or I'm sorry, would that be a news story you feel? I don't know how to handle the reviews. It's a conversational podcast. I appreciate you bringing this to the table.
I feel like when there's games that are kind of what's going to happen with this,
Sure.
that I think that the Metacritic score is kind of
Newsworthy?
That's newsworthy,
Okay,
where it's like
okay.
talking about who gave what and that.
Sure.
We don't need to get into all of that.
Would you like
but-
to pat me on the back?
Yeah.
As on the Games Cast with Ryan McCaffrey, available now, audio and YouTube for free on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames. I thought 80 was going to be the median, 8.0, and that we'd have some 7.5s and we'd have some 8.5s. And that's exactly what's shaped up this morning.
This is looking good, yeah.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to say, and we'll talk more about this on Gamescast,
Sure.
but this weekend when we went to Vegas,
Sure.
I had a lot of plane flights and a lot of just downtime in the hotel, and I am addicted to this game.
I'm blown away that you're that into it. I'm
really good.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I'm hitting a point in the game where I'm like, this is getting a little samey, and there doesn't seem to be challenge anymore.
Sure.
I feel like I've kind of found a team that is dominant. That takes the fun out of it. A lot of critiques of it, but at the end of the day, I think that it's a major success, and I think that this is a huge win for the Nintendo Switch.
Really?
That a third party can make a game. The fact that this is a Ubisoft game, I think is very impressive. Doesn't feel like Ubisoft, and I think that this is taking them in a new direction that I would love more of this.
Damn. I was hoping I'd find it in time. There was definitely a kid who wrote in today. I thought I made it to the sheet, but oh no, here it is. Midnight Owl wrote in to kindafunny.com/KFGD, just like you can and should, to be part of Kinda Funny Games Daily. And here she says, hello, you beautiful parcels of wonderful particles. The Mario Rabbids reviews are up. IGN gave it a 7.7, GameSpot gave it a 9, Time Magazine gave it a 100, Polygon gave it an 8, Destructoid gave it a 7.7. Those definitely are some numbers, but the general consensus...
Those are some numbers.
I love it that he says that, is that Mario plus Rabbids is an impressive game that nearly Nintendo quality made by a third-party studio. How do you think Nintendo will respond to this? Will this be a one-off game, or do you think they'll be more open to lending out their properties to other studios? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Nintendo games aren't coming to PlayStation 4 or Xbox One anytime soon, but here's hoping for more partnerships. Thanks for all you do, and tell Cool Greg that he's so goddamn cool. Hell yeah. And he signs it Owl, so still no idea if it's a girl or a guy.
Nintendo has a history of lending its first-party properties out to... Or not first-party properties. It's properties
yeah.
out to other devs and other publishers to kind of do their own thing. We saw it especially a lot during the GameCube era and a little bit in the Wii. Some of them worked out better than others, obviously with Team Ninja working on Metroid Other M. We had Sega working on F-Zero GX. We had Capcom working on Zelda, Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, which are some of people's favorite Zeldas of all time. So there's a lot of... It's all over the place whether it's quality or not, but I think that more often than not, they've been good. Or not, if not great. Namco did Star Fox.
They did Smash
Assault.
Too, right?
And then later did Smash Brothers on the Wii U. So I think that we will see a lot more of this, but I'm happy that this is different. This is like, we're going to take this and just kind of make a new game.
Sure.
Out of
well, that's what's interesting about it, is taking the familiar IP, the familiar characters, and putting them into something different. And I do like the idea that I think this is an interesting way to. I got something tickle on my nose, and I'm trying not to do it.
Another example is the Warriors games, Hyrule Warriors, Fire Emblem Warriors.
What I think is interesting about this is that it's a great workaround to Nintendo's problem of how do you get a Ubisoft or an EA or a big third-party developer to make a game on a smaller platform, on a smaller install base. Well, you partner with them and give them the keys to your kingdom and let them go out there and do it. You like that? I mean,
yeah, that's really good. But with a guarantee asterisk, that you're gonna sell millions of copies.
Sure. Yeah.
I feel like
can do it. Anyone can.
Yeah. That's the thing is, it's like I'm very excited to see how well this game sells. I think it's gonna sell very well. Maybe not. I guess there was Mario Kart, but Mario is in the title of a Nintendo Switch game that is
and it's
now
good.
in millions of people's homes.
The only thing that'll be interesting about it is that this kind of gameplay, while if you've played XCOM like I have, you enjoy and you're familiar with it, I feel is still foreign to so many people.
It is.
Even I was reading the GAF thread today where they had all the reviews laid out, and so many people were like, good scores, I'm interested, but I don't know. Like, I don't know if this is my kind of game, if this is what I want to get into.
I think the XCOM comparison is apt, obviously.
of course.
But what I think is even more appropriate is Fire Emblem. It's not the exact same thing, but at the end of the day, it is a grid-based strategy game.
Sure.
And for better or worse, some of my biggest criticisms of this game are that I wish that it was a bit more clear where I'm hitting. The 3D kind of makes it complicated because the camera's not that great.
So you're talking about times where you think you're about to, it looks like that's a guaranteed shot, and as I hit go, it says 0%. I'm like, are you fucking kidding
or
me?
even then, like it's hard to see where the 0% or whatever, because I'm trying to see, can I hit that guy? And there's no camera angle that lets me see if it's 100 or 0. Whatever. But I think that Nintendo fans in the last couple of years have been there's been an avalanche of Fire Emblem games. So I think that there's already been that kind
so
of
people do understand it.
introduction. And granted, not everybody knows Fire Emblem, but Fire Emblem games sell very well. So there is an install base of people that know that. Plus having the Switch, there's not a Fire Emblem on Switch yet. So this being Mario, it's like there's a lot. I think that Nintendo's doing a good job of, here's a genre that you might not associate with Nintendo
100%,
and then doing a good job of being like, we're going to change that. Eventually you're going to associate these games and a quality with Nintendo.
Sure. I'm thrilled you're behind it now, because when Kevin and I went and played it and we came back and we were like, man, this is really good. Kevin's been playing it, I've been playing it. You were the one who's like, I don't know, it looks interesting. But I feel like, at least for you and me, the scales have turned. Where I enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but I was playing on the plane too, and I got to the first mid boss or whatever, and it was like, oh fuck, you like it beat the shit out of me. You know what I mean? Like I was dead, and I was like, fuck. And my first thing was like, I'm gonna take a break. Like it wasn't like I wanted to jump back in and try again. I was like, I'm gonna take a break, and then I went and did, and I tried it again, lost again. I was like, all right. And I kept watching TV, which I rarely do on a plane, but it was that thing of like, I don't know. There's something about it where to put that much time in to lose, I was like, yeah, I don't feel like doing it immediately. Like I like the game, I'm not putting it down. I still don't like the sections around the battles where I'm wandering around.
They're growing on me, but I feel like this game has a weird curve where it's like that stuff's growing on me, the battles are growing on me, because in the beginning it's way too easy, and then eventually it becomes more challenging. I'm like, all right, cool. It went from being super simple to, oh, there's a lot going on, and that's cool. But then it hits a point where once you understand all that stuff, you go back to being like, all right. And the roaming levels, it goes from being, I'm literally just moving a Roomba around, to, okay, there's some puzzles here that are interesting.
Okay. I haven't gotten to that yet.
And then it reaches a point where I'm like, all right, well, now the puzzles aren't even interesting. They're like, I'm expecting it. So
yeah. It's an interesting game. I enjoy it. I'm going to play more of it, but I'm not. It's going to be like one like, oh, I'm on a plane. Let's check in and see what's happening here. I don't see me getting its hooks in me where I have to play it nonstop.
IGN's review sounds right to me.
Yeah, 7.7.
7.7? Yeah. Okay. Maybe a little higher, but
you'll play more. We'll talk about it on Gamescast. Because if you didn't know, this is Kind of Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy video game news you need to know about before jumping into your comments, questions, bad PSN names, and everything else you submit at kindoffunny.com/KFGD. Remember, the show, you can watch it live as we record it on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames, but we don't look at the chat. Instead, it's your job to go to kindoffunny.com/you're-wrong. Tell us what we screw up as we record it live, so at the end of the show, we can check in, set the record straight. Then everybody else can watch it on youtube.com/kindoffunnygames or listen on podcast services around the globe. Housekeeping. Tomorrow, a big day. I'm sorry, Kev. I know you're right there. You're ready to go for all your business. Housekeeping tomorrow, Tuesday, the 29th, right after Kind of Funny Games on twitch.tv/kindoffunny. I am playing I'm just a long-time American fan. Everybody's Golf. I'll be playing Everybody's Golf on PlayStation 4 tomorrow with Twitch subs and people who watch and hang out with us. So go to bit.ly/KF-Golf. That's capital K, capital F, capital G. You can sign up to play with me, or just plan on being here from 1 to 5 p.m. to watch us all golf together on twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames. Then PAX is this weekend, Saturday at 8:30. I'm hosting the Batman crowd play. You can come watch that. Sunday at noon, I'm doing a signing at the Rooster Teeth booth. That's new. That's brand new. And then Sunday at 5 p.m. is my cancer panel. I hope you come out, hang out, have a good time. For now, tonight at 5 p.m., Kevin and Cool Greg are doing a stream for Monday Night Raw. Is that right? Is that what's happening? Yeah? Okay, cool.
On twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames.
For now, let's begin the show with what is and forever will be the Roper Report. Time for some news! There are 4 items on the Roper Report.
A baker's dozen!
Number 1. There, Tim, is a new PlayStation VR bundle according to the PlayStation blog. Across the US and Canada, we're launching a new bundle that includes the PlayStation VR headset and PlayStation camera for $399. If you're in Canada, it's $499. This essentially gives you the PlayStation camera at no extra charge and will be the core PS VR bundle moving forward. What's more, the existing PlayStation VR Worlds bundle, parentheses, PSVR headset, PS camera, 2 PlayStation Move motion controllers, and PlayStation VR Worlds will be available at a new lower price of $449 US and then $579 Canada. So you can get started with an all-in PlayStation VR package and at an even greater value. Both bundles start arriving at retailers on September 1st, so check with your local retailers for availability. What's your read on this?
My read on yesterday, we were at the GameStop Expo, and we got to sit down with Mr. PlayStation.
That's right,
Assad, and we got to talk to him about a whole bunch of things, the PlayStation's kind of lineup over the next couple months.
Sure.
And
Talk about God of War.
One of the things that we got to talk about was PSVR, and you asked, what is the future? Are you guys still committed?
I said, is it dead? Are you guys still committed to PlayStation VR?
And I thought his answer was amazing. Like, it was very clear, like, we're not only are we not dead, here's how we're not dead. And I think that's the key, because it would have been very easy to be like, no, we're still committed to the PlayStation Vita. No, he didn't do that. He was here's what we're doing. And he talked about a whole bunch of games coming to it. Yeah. And what I thought was most interesting was how he defined AAA PlayStation
100%.
VR game.
Because that was my question,
he defined
right?
PlayStation VR or AAA as Farpoint.
Yeah.
As games that it's not like, he's like, there's a difference between AAA in terms of development, in terms of resources we're putting into something, and in terms of brand recognition.
Right.
He's like, there's going to be the things like the Batman and the Star Wars and Final Fantasy and all that.
And I asked him point blank, are there more AAA announcements like that coming down the line? He said yes.
Yeah. So there's that. But he's like, but what we see AAA VR and what's really going to push this into being a bigger deal and seeing if it does have a second generation and what that looks like, or games like Farpoint and other experiences like that are tailored for VR and new IP and experiences made from the ground up for that. And I thought that was great. And, you know, Shuhei said that classic thing about this being...
It's the PlayStation 1, we're learning to walk and all that different things. And that was what was so great about Assad, driving that point home on a stream publicly with no prep, right? And the fact of, no, we're still a part of this. This is the same thing, but we are learning. And that's what he kept saying, right? We are learning how to do this. This is a brand new way to play games. So we're all in this together kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then to talk about Moss, which I brought up and stuff. And I think that they're onto something. Exactly. You can see little or smaller games making those strides that then we can apply one day to bigger projects.
Exactly. I mean, it's things like you look at even back in the PS1 and 64 generation, where it's like you got the first 3D polygonal platformer style game. It wasn't a platformer, but whatever. The movement's similar with like Jumping Flash on PlayStation, but then Mario comes out, right? And then you look to where we're at now with Galaxy and all this. It's like everything is a stepping stone to get where you need to go.
Yeah.
And right now with PSVR, we're in that. It is very similar to, not even just in terms of hardware and performance, but in terms of how do we make a game work in 3D? And now it's how do we make a game work in VR? And I was very impressed with everything you were saying. And I was most impressed because he had something to show for it, which was Hidden Agenda. Not
a VR game. Hidden Agenda was the Playlink game.
Oh, fuck, you're right. Yeah. The Playlink shit, that blew my mind too. Sorry, I'm just getting ahead of myself.
Playlink's awesome. I can't wait for Hidden
sorry,
Agenda.
not Hidden Agenda. I keep thinking that game's named Hidden Agenda. The other supermassive game.
Oh, the next Until Dawn
the
one.
VR one.
Yeah. This creepy one where you're in the insane asylum.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Therapist?
No, but you're close. But it's the prequel to Until Dawn by a long shot. Just keep. Talk about how creepy it looks. Just go.
What I loved about it is like that was part of this conversation, and like we saw that at E3, but it's like that to me is a perfect example of what VR can be right now. Because the best experience I've had in VR are the ones...
The
inpatient, yeah. Or where I'm sitting down and there's someone walking around me talking. That's when I lose all sense that I'm in a video game and I feel like it's real.
Yeah.
And that looks creepy as fuck, and it seems like there's a lot of that, of the guy's face getting really close to you. And it's like, man, they're really going to play off emotions in a way that I think is totally cool and something that they know they can achieve.
Yeah.
It might not be pushing the boundaries of VR as a video game, but I think that it's going to be really interesting as but we're going to nail that. That is the non-launch title. We're years in. Here's what it's like when God of War came out on PS2.
Yeah.
It's like, you got a bunch of other stuff before, but like
this is what
we can do. And I feel like that's what this game's going to be.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I could see that. And I think that's Supermassive working on it. I think is a great, hey, and this isn't an insult to them, I hope, mid-tier, right? They're not Naughty Dog yet. We loved Until Dawn. Until Dawn's amazing. I can't wait for Hidden Agenda. I'm looking forward to The Impatient. They're not Naughty Dog, but then they're also not like the smallest of upstarts. They're this great, hey, we can do this and we can partner and we can make a whole bunch of games at once, apparently, because they have the 3 in the works, but they can do something interesting and cool with it and take what you loved about it Until Dawn and distill that into a VR thing. Yeah, I want to see what that's all about. I believe that they're going to have something cool there.
Yeah, and I think this bundle, great idea.
My only thing, I shouldn't say the only interesting thing. Great that they're doing this. Great that they're saying, hey, we're going to have more units out there, because that was another thing we were talking about with Assad yesterday, right? Of just like, I brought up Andy House and how he's like, yeah, we didn't expect it to be this much. And Assad was like, yeah, more than 1 million units, things like that. The fact that they're getting a new bundle out there to get it there. What's interesting about it is it's a price cut again, right? Not by much. We're just adding a camera in for free, but this follows us seeing the Vive get a price cut recently. We've had a lot of VR things where it seems like prices are coming down on VR, which makes me go, are we worried about the bottom falling out already, where people are like, oh, we put so much into this and people aren't buying it, so we need to get serious about it.
I mean, from everything I've heard, this thing is not flying off the shelves, and
sure.
it hasn't
VR
been.
In general.
No, PSVR.
Okay,
where it's
selling. There's a shortage for a while then.
But that while was very, very short. Like, I think that there's a lot of mixed messaging going on with some of the stuff, and obviously it's PR. It's what it's marketing.
It's the usual convoluted thing where even with Switch, where we're talking on the show, oh, I can't find a Switch, and then people are like,
but I'm talking about more from the retailer side of like actual GameStop quotes, actual Amazon quotes, actual Best Buy and Walmart and things like that from their side of it. So like we'll see, but I mean, it's still selling well. Things don't need to sell out for them to be like
100%.
It's still over 1 million. That's a major success for a $400 novelty product.
Sure. Okay. Number 2, Uncharted. The Lost Legacy UK sales are in from gamesindustry.biz. Here you go. Crash Bandicoot's seemingly permanent stay at the top of the UK retail charts is at an end as the Activision game tumbles to number 3.
Oh, how the mighty have fallen.
You fucking piece of shit, Bandicoot. The platformer has been beaten by another PS4 exclusive in the form of Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, made by the original Crash developers Naughty Dog. This Uncharted title is a slightly smaller adventure that was originally pitched as DLC for last year's Uncharted 4, before being spun out into its own game, one with, admittedly, a lower price point. As a result, The Lost Legacy didn't come close to matching Uncharted 4's week 1 sales, selling less than half that number, although it's a strong debut for a game that was originally pitched as DLC and is likely to hang around on the charts for some time to come. Note, this data does not include digital data.
Which is a huge note.
Of course. Yeah, no, and Lost Legacy in general, I'm interested to see if we ever hear what it actually did. Where does it rank in terms of American NPD next month when we get the numbers? Where I'm assuming it'll be the number 1 PSN download for the month of August, he said, without thinking about anything else that came out in August. What other big, a lot of big games. Madden, you think?
Does Madden download well?
Yeah, everything's downloadable. But
does it download well?
Oh, that I don't know. Like, it'll chart for sure on the PSN downloads. But this, I think Uncharted will. I think it's people.
Definitely.
Most people think it's DLC. Most people are.
My thing is that only gives it a week, right?
Yeah.
Because from the 22nd, I still think it'll be number 1.
Okay. Yeah.
I think downloads. Easy.
Yeah, probably.
Not even.
It's one of those things I always say. Yeah, and I forget what happened at the beginning of the month, but I would hazard to guess. Yeah, that's what's going to happen. For the record, everybody, we have. You've been asking. I saw it on our Reddit again today. Everybody asking if we're going to do the Uncharted Lost Legacy Spoilercast. If you remember, during our spoiler-free review, we had said maybe we'll tack it on to the end of a Gamescast. Today, we have a question from Jacob Rome that I'm going to tack on to the end of the show, and I think that'll serve as, here, gloves off, let's talk a little bit about it. But I don't think it's going to be going on for like 15, 30 minutes or anything.
No, I don't think there's much to say.
Yeah, we just couldn't talk about very specific moments before that I think we'd like to talk about. So that's tacked on to the end of this. Stick around. Number 3, PUBG topped Steam over the weekend. Now, if you remember, we'd been looking at the concurrent player counts for this there PUBG. And we were like, well, what's going to happen? Where's it going to go? It got to 800,000 or whatever here. It was still beat by Dota or whatever. But I thought, now that I'm looking at this, I thought they had crossed. This seems like an old image. No? Yes? Can you back me up on that? No?
I don't know. What's this 1.3 mil is Dota 2?
So here's what I thought I had seen over the weekend, and now I'm going to Twitter to figure it out. Is that finally PUBG had crossed over and become, hey, we are the number one game being played right
concurrently.
now. Exactly.
I did see someone say that.
Here
I
we
do
go.
not know the source.
Yeah, for some reason I grabbed the wrong image. That's really weird. But anyways, over the weekend, PlayerUnknown tweeted out number one game on Steam. Thank you once and for all. They had become the peak concurrent at 877,000. But if we're rounding up, 878,000 people were playing at one time PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, with Dota 2 behind it at about 843,000. The one that now what I had said, my initial thought when I saw this tweet while we were in Vegas was, oh, they've set the record. They're now that's the most concurrence. That's not true. So over the weekend, they became, for the first time, the most played
number
game
one
on Steam.
at that moment.
At that moment, concurrent with, about 870.
But the record of most concurrent players at one time ever is Dota 2.
Yeah, Dota 2 with 1.3 million. And so now the question becomes, Tim, will PUBG break that record?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Absolutely. I mean, there's just an upward trend. You look at the sales numbers of this game.
Yeah.
It crossed 8 million recently, becoming the highest selling game on one console or one system in 2017. Like, yeah, it's still selling. It's not going to stop selling.
Sure.
And it will be beat.
What makes it interesting for me is how fast Xbox One can get PlayerUnknown out onto the console and in its early access phase, right? Because I feel like that would be the only thing that could steal away the people they would need to get on here to play this. Because this, some people, I think it was GameSpot I was reading, were hypothesizing why it happened this weekend, and it was that they were doing the PUBG Invitational, so they were all over there. People watching that. People are getting motivated to go in and play. This is all happening at once, and it was like groundswell movement. Whereas like you're playing PUBG pretty much every day with Andy at the end of work or something like that, jumping on. When does it get to the point that you're going to have what has to push PUBG to cross 1.3 million at one time?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly, like, this is going to be interesting to look at. And where'd you get this image?
This is the image I have is the wrong one. You can go to Steam and see who's doing it.
Cool.
So,
yeah. It's going to be interesting to look at it, because even this one that you have that's outdated, seeing like where Dota 2's at, like the jump from 839 to even what you said today, it's like, oh, cool. As a whole, these more and more people are playing the games at once.
Yeah.
So I think that trend's just going to continue. And with PlayerUnknown, I don't think that the Xbox release, whenever it comes out in Games Access, is going to affect the Steam concurrence too heavily. You have to imagine some people will jump, but
I'm not worried about jumping. I'm worried about the fact that every day we talk about, in some respect, it seems on the show, PUBG, right? And so as that continues to get in people's ears, they're like, oh man, this game seems really interesting. But rather than buy it on Steam, I'm going to wait for Xbox. I have access to a gaming PC, but I prefer to play on a console. Like me.
Yeah.
Right? Granted, I already bought it, but I'm not playing it every day. I know I like this game. I'll wait for it to be on consoles.
I don't think it's even going to take this long for PUBG to dethrone Dota. But I think a groundswell that could happen is once the Game of the Year conversations come into play. And everyone is like really been like, no. But really, though, I know that we've talked about it a lot, but this, once it starts winning Game of the Years across the board from people,
PlayerUnknown
not across
also,
the board.
Yeah, but
Zelda
it's definitely going to clean up. But I mean, PlayerUnknown also has been, talking about teasing. I think at the Gamescom conference, he showed another screen from that new map.
Peru.
New map would definitely be, I think, hey, everybody's going to jump on and get in there and do it. Yeah.
That'll be it. If the new map happens, that's done deal.
Okay. Number 4 is a super simple short one. There's going to be a Nintendo Switch Nindies Showcase Wednesday. That's 8:30 at 10 a.m. Pacific time. You can watch it live.nintendo.com.
I imagine it'll be a 15-minute situation like we got last time with the Nindies Showcase.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Many announcements in that. I think there was like 80 games announced, or 60. It was 60.
Yeah.
Which is very impressive and very cool. I think this might be a bit more update focused.
Okay.
We might get some release dates on things like Yooka-Laylee, Steam World Dig, to hopefully things like Hollow Knight. I know that Shovel Knight,
Owlboy.
Owlboy. Shovel Knight, the Night King deal, not Night King.
The Night King.
King Knight DLC is going to make its debut at PAX this weekend. So
okay.
That could be some cool timing. Maybe. I mean, that's already going to be on Switch because the package is already there. I know I'm missing a bunch of other things. Oh, Stardew Valley. And things like that. So I think we might get a couple of Rocket League maybe we'll finally
Oh
get
man,
an actual
that'd be awesome to get a release date on that. Yeah.
But otherwise, I do expect we'll get a couple announcements. I don't think it'll be as holy shit, so many games at once.
Yeah.
But I think there will be
All I want is a Rocket League date. That'd be fun. Just
there'll
give me
be
that.
a couple big things. But yeah, I plan to do a live stream of this. I don't want to commit to it because I want to make sure we're good on the calendar and stuff.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I don't see why we wouldn't be. So
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to do that. And if not, we'll cover, of course, on Kind of Funny Games Daily. Now, though, if I want to go to the mom and grop shops and find out what's out today, Tim, where do I go?
the official list of upcoming software across each and every platform is listed by the Kind of Funny Games Daily host each and every weekday.
Yeah. Out today, Project Remedium on PC. Also, if you are a Destiny 2 pre-order person on PC, you have access to the beta.
You get that beta.
Meanwhile, new dates. Yakuza 2 Remake, which we talked about last week, is officially official. Yakuza Kiwami 2 is coming on December 7th in Japan on PlayStation 4. Then Yakuza Online, a free-to-play PC and mobile game, is coming to Japan next year. Then there's a new Fist of the North Star game in Japan in 2018. Whole bunch of Yakuza news dropping there.
Yakuza.
Now, speaking of that there Yakuza,
Yeah.
let's jump into reader mail.
Let's do it.
You can be part of the show by going to kindoffunny.com/KFGD, just like Brian did. Brian writes in with a question that I love because this news story I saw on Kotaku. And I was like, is this Roper Report worthy? And I was like, dude, I don't know. Do we have something to say about it? Brian has something to say about it, so it doesn't have to be. We cover it here. Brian writes in and says, hi, Greg and co-host. Remember, at the end of every show now, I tell you who's going to be on the show. You can stick it out till then. I'm going to keep it simple. Would you support a game made by a team that involved individuals who expressed racist tendencies? On Saturday, August 26th, the Yakuza studio held a press conference for Yakuza Kiwami 2, during which a voice actor for the game used a word that I'm not going to try to pronounce, but it's what he'll explain here in a second.
Just shouldn't say.
Also, to denote both South Koreans and North Koreans alike, a term that is especially considered to be a racial slur by South Koreans, similar to the N-word. I'm a Korean American, and I was absolutely horrified when I heard this word used during a press conference. I'm a big fan of the Yakuza series and was going to purchase this game day one release in Japan, but now I'm conflicted. What would you do? Thanks for all the work you guys do, and you're making my commutes very enjoyable, Brian. P.S. A lot of people have been dismissing this incident as overreacting on our part, but I think it is a misunderstanding on their part. They think it was because he made a joke about North Koreans bombing Japan with missiles, but no, it was because he used a racial slur. So what I had read, Tim, was the Kotaku piece, which was this voice actor who's a character voice actor who's been in a bunch of different stuff. And I'm paraphrasing, you can go catch the whole thing. But basically, as they were getting ready to wrap up, they asked like everybody's final comments or something. And his comment, apparently, according to, because it's being translated, I don't know if the person, whatever, is some offhand joke he tried to make. That was something like, if you look around, there's Koreans on this stage. And I thought they were in Korea. Doesn't matter though. There's Koreans on this stage. I hope that a missile doesn't fly over from Korea. And so the context that people were breaking down to what Brian's saying was, clearly he's trying to make a joke about North Korea bombing South Korea, where I thought they were doing this press conference because there's Korean. I guess South Korea has a huge Yakuza fan base of this. So now there's even concerns that South Korea is going to ban the game based on this comment, blah, 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 blah. And then the Kotaku piece after all that went into the fact of like, he's using slang words here, and what does it mean by Korean? So it's a whole mess. It's a giant mess that I don't think we have much to say about because I don't speak the language. I'm reading reports, conflictions, all this stuff. To Brian's point, let's boil it down. Let's say, the voice actor uses this slang term that's horrifying to people. How do you play that then into your decision as a player? How do you handle that?
Obviously, this is complicated and very layered, and I think it's a case-by-case situation.
Sure.
It's a person-by-person situation. I feel like that is grounds to not support it for some people.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those people.
Sure.
I understand that games, movies, TV shows, albums, whatever it is, made by many people, there's going to be a lot of different viewpoints. There's going to be a lot of different... the line of ethics is going to be different for everybody.
Sure.
The line of what crosses the line in terms of jokes is going to be different for people. So it's like you can't judge person A for what person B says or does.
Right.
And there's limits to that, but it's up to everyone to decide what those limits are.
And that's the thing is, I think for me and to talk to you, Brian, would be the fact that like if you're not comfortable buying the game based on that, that's totally, you're welcome to that opinion. You're fine. my takeaway and my flip of it, right, would be like, well, let's say, what's a big game coming out that I care about upcoming? Assassin's Creed Origins is coming up, right? And somebody who's a side character, because he's from what I understand, the gentleman who said this is his voice actor isn't like the main character, nor is he a developer, nor is he the director. You know what I mean? He's a side character in Assassin's Creed Origins comes out and is totally a white supremacist and blah blah blah. And I'm jumping. That's even a leap from what happened here, because I don't know this man from Adam. I don't know what happened. Somebody during a press conference says something horrible, right? For me personally, I'd be with you of like, it seems like. I was excited for this game. I'm excited for what's happening. There's hundreds of people who worked on it, but then we're getting down to one voice actor who said one dumb, horrible, possibly racist thing. It's this weird boiling of like, or it's this weird toss up of like how to handle that situation. For me personally, in that instance of Assassin's Creed Origins, I'd be like, well, that guy's an idiot, but I'm not gonna throw the baby out with the bathwater on this.
Yeah, I mean, it gets more complicated too because his PS thing here of a lot of people have been dismissing the incident as overreacting on our part, but I think it's a misunderstanding on their part.
Yeah.
They think that it was a joke made about North Koreans bombing Japan with missiles, but no, it's because he used the racial slur, and that's when it gets even more convoluted because it's like, yeah, like the offense and defense of all of this is so hard because people are going to, no matter what, be defensive for their point of view and for how they are affected by the situation. So for this to have a whole bunch of like shit, they're like, no, we're not doing that. And it's like, they're not even thinking about this other thing.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's just like tunnel vision on all this. So it's like everyone's in a shitty position there. Like, don't be a bad person. I think this all boils down to.
Sure.
And it's like, yeah, if you support these people, are you supporting bad people in your terms? That's up to you.
100%. And I think that's one of the reasons I went with the question over the article, is that reading the article before even the jump, I thought, yeah, people are offended about the missile comment, but Brian's giving more context to it and stuff. And I think he's right that, yeah, I think people are dismissing it, thinking it's a joke, but not understanding that this is really what did it. It's a whole can of worms, and it's definitely one of those it's hard for any of us to weigh in on because we're over here not understanding the language, not understanding what's happening. That's why I was trying to bring it over to Assassin's Creed Origin, which we can now confirm is a game made by racist. Can't confirm that.
Nope.
Oh, sorry, my apologies. I jumped ahead.
Got that in, not racist.
I'm just saying, I don't know. Just playing it out there. What are you going to do? Who do I want to go to next? Big Tim. How about this?
Tim.
Sean writes in.
What's Sean have to say?
Sean writes in to kindafunny.com/KFGD just like you can. It says, hey, KFGD crew. Last week, you guys discussed ReCore, the upcoming definitive edition of the game, and who really even cares that it exists. I played through the game this past spring and really enjoyed my time with it, while recognizing it had several flaws. Last Friday, a detailed list of changes, fixes, improvements, and new content was released, and frankly, I was shocked at how much they've done to this game. Literally, every one of my past issues seems to have been addressed, and they've added a ton of new content for free. The list of new updated gameplay and features is something usually only seen in sequels. It's not often that a mid-tier, quote-unquote, mediocre reviewed game like this gets a second chance, and it's great to see support from the pub and dev. Far too often, games like this are left to be, and don't get the chance to truly shine. Just writing in to give kudos to the devs. Any games like ReCore that you wish got the definitive treatment like this?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, that's so specific.
Yeah.
The closest answer I can give, I don't know. I was gonna say Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5, but like I think that was beyond helping.
A lot of work needed. Yeah. To take something from mediocre and upgrade it, I think like I talk about it, I don't mean to beat a dead horse in this. I talk about it all the time, but like Marvel Heroes, I think did a great job of that, where they released that game and then a year later, David Brevik came back around. He's like, hey, the game wasn't great when we launched it. We fixed it, and here's what we're going. And now it's found another life on PC, and now it's found another life on consoles.
Yeah,
but. Yeah, I mean, I think I like it more that Sean's just patting him on the back, saying, "Hey, they actually listened to something I hope." What'll be interesting about it is, that's great and that's interesting. How many people are going to give that game another shot? How many are your IGNs and GameSpots going to sit down and review that and be like, "Hey, you need to pay attention to this"? Like they know what traffic ReCore got before, and they're not going to be able to. And I'm totally wrong. I would assume they'd be like, whatever. Freelance it out, it gets a better score, and we're done. I
mean, this is one of those situations I look at, and I'm like, there's some business people at Microsoft that are like, hey, if we do this, we'll make a profit.
Yeah.
Like, it's worth doing financially. We don't have anything else to do with this team, so.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a cool thing to do. Give them another shot at it, but yeah, I wonder how successful that'll actually be.
Yeah.
Speaking of people writing in on things from last week and setting us straight, Lauren writes in and says, regarding your surprise at Shadow of War's pre-orders outdoing those of Arkham Knight, couldn't this simply be a result that of Arkham Knight releasing when the total numbers of PS4s and Xbox Ones was less than half of what it is now?
Absolutely.
It's a great fucking point, Lauren. Yeah, we probably should have brought that up.
That is. Having said that, though, even if Arkham Knight came out now, regardless of Arkham Knight, I'm still shocked at the pre-order numbers of Shadow of War.
Sure.
But yeah, absolutely. Like that is a very good
That's
point.
good context. That's what I want to give you on this show when we read that news. Context. Lauren's there to give it to you. Everybody follow Lauren at kindafunny.com/KFGD Lauren. It's not a real thing. Don't do it. Tori Thompson writes in and says, is there any shame in looking at a walkthrough? Sometimes I just can't understand what I'm supposed to do for a dungeon boss puzzle, and I feel like I should look at a walkthrough. However, I rarely ever do so because I feel guilty about it, especially games that are masterpieces like The Witness. Shout out to Danny's Doc. Point is there anything wrong with checking a walkthrough to progress through a game?
I think video games are a balance between fun, frustration, and the feeling of success.
Yeah.
And it's like once the balance of that is off and it's not fun enough to be worth the frustration to gain the success, then go for it. However you want to just get to the next thing. Because there's been way too many times in games where I'm just like, I'm not enjoying this. Uncharted comes to mind. Some of the puzzles, I'm just like, I am not Lost Legacy. I thought they did a pretty good job with the puzzles. Actually, a really good job with the puzzles.
Spinning circles I hated.
But some of the other Uncharted puzzles, I'm like, man, like this isn't fun. This is frustrating, and I don't want to keep going. Like, I just want to move on. Like, this isn't why I enjoy it.
This isn't why you play Uncharted.
Yeah. So I didn't feel bad looking at a walkthrough there.
Yeah, I don't think you need to feel bad looking at a walkthrough. And I'm understanding I understand where you come from. I understand where you come from. Because I remember, especially when I was on the outside and I'd buy these games that were supposed to be tough or supposed to be, I'm going to be challenged through it. And you're playing it. And even like a Zelda, where you get to that part in a dungeon where it's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do right now? For me, it was always the fact of, full-time job, you come home, you cook, you're taking care of the dog, you want to see your girlfriend, your significant other, talk to family, whoever, whatever. When I finally sit down to play a game, I want to progress. And I do appreciate the 10 minutes of light bulb ding. But then it gets to that point where it's like, I am wasting time. I'm wasting my night doing this right now. And I need to move on. And I need to get out of here.
And I think games like that, there is more often than not, for me at least, there's that moment where I'm like, I got to turn it off. And the next day I turn it on and instantly I'm like, that's what you do. And it's like, that's very satisfying. But if you feel like you're wasting your time, you don't want to wait till the next day, whatever, man. Enjoy the game how you want to enjoy it. Like, don't feel bad about any of this shit, and especially for like things like trophies and all the extras and all that stuff. Like, no, walkthroughs are necessary.
Don't try to chase down no platinum without no guide. PS4 trophies on YouTube.com. Final question comes from DRAHCIR, all caps 17. With the finale of Season 7 of Game of Thrones airing last night, do you think that the rumor of Bethesda developing an RPG-style Game of Thrones is true? They did claim that they were offered to develop one back in 2011. However, they turned it down because they were working on Skyrim. We know Bethesda doesn't like to announce anything they are working on until it's almost completed, but do you think they picked up the offer afterwards, or do you think the Elder Scrolls 6 would get in the way of this too? Are you familiar with this rumor?
I was about to say I didn't know this was a rumor.
The 2011 thing I vaguely remember hearing about, but I don't remember too much about it. Kindafunny.com/you're wrong. More importantly, over the weekend, Target posted and still has this page up that says Bethesda : Game of Thrones. And it's not indicated that it's a video game. But there's a product page up on Target.com for Bethesda : Game of Thrones. And it's another thing that almost made the Roper report. But outside of saying that, what is there to say? So then DRAHCIR 17 wrote in, and I was like, oh, well, this is a better way to get into it.
Wow.
The rumor, like the smart money, I would say, after this popped was going to be, holy shit, at the end of Game of Thrones or whatever, they're going to run like a trailer for this or something. Like, hey, we've been doing this.
HBO doesn't give a fuck about that. Bethesda does. Sorry, I thought you meant during the show.
No.
Yeah.
Mid-break to
gotcha.
this. No, I'm saying, around last night they would have done something, but they didn't. And so then it's a weird Target air to put that up, Bethesda : Game of Thrones. It could have been, though, that they get that information, they put it on, but it's also like, okay.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of interesting things here, and I think that I'm thinking too much about this.
Sure.
But
I like that. Go.
with rumors of Game of Thrones not coming back till 2019.
Yeah.
So we'll have next year off. It'd be a great time to release a very high quality Game of Thrones piece of content for people to really dive into and love. But I don't know. So the question of, does this get in the way of Elder Scrolls 6?
100%.
I think that in terms of development and in terms of that type of stuff, yes. In terms of sales, no. I think that Elder Scrolls and Game of Thrones are they could be very, very, very similar games. They'll both sell amazingly well and not get in each other's way. But Bethesda is only so many people. Like I think
it gets in the way of developing it. Yeah, where Elder Scrolls suddenly gets punted. And it strikes me as such a weird... it sounds like, oh, what a great fit on one hand, and on the other, I'm like, that doesn't sound good at all.
And it doesn't sound like Bethesda. I don't see Bethesda doing that.
Yeah,
like,
I don't see them jumping into a licensed thing just because it's Game of Thrones.
Yeah, like why they invest in their own things.
They have their own worlds, their own universes.
And so it's like, why jump and piggyback off this thing that, I mean, I don't know.
And I feel like no matter what you would do in this, you're not going to satisfy Game of Thrones fans. Because you figure, I don't think you put it in the TV world. So then we're just living in the book world. So then the casual fan who is a fan of the TV show jumps into this and they meet Jon Snow and it doesn't look like Kit Harington or sound like Kit Harington. And that's an immersion breaker. Or what am I really influencing in this world? Because I can't, even if it's in the books or it's in the TV universe, like, they're not going to let me kill Cersei or whatever. They're not going to let me go totally off and do whatever the hell I want. I don't feel.
I mean, I imagine if they were to do this, I think it'd be different era, different. Like it would be, its
and I don't know who would
own-
want to play that necessarily.
Yeah, I mean, but I think that's where this all gets interesting. Where it's like, this isn't happening.
Yeah, exactly. I think the best shot you had at a really good game was the Telltale one, and it wasn't that great.
And the funny thing,
I didn't finish it.
I played just 2 episodes of it, and like I stopped because it was tied to what we know. However, it also was kind of this side story of a bunch of characters that are new, that anything can happen to them, and then the characters we know in the TV universe, it's canon of the TV universe. So it's like they would all fit in, but it all felt so shoehorned and weird. I don't know. Game of Thrones is a hard thing to jump into because the reason people like it is its level of quality and character dynamics and writing, and no one else can do that.
Agreed. So yeah, I don't think it's happening, but I don't know what that fuck Target page is about. Time to squad up. This is where one of you writes into kindafunny.com/KFGD. You give me your name, your platform of choice, the game you need help with, and your username. I read it here and why you need help. Best friends out there find you, support you, things happen. Mike writes in, he's playing on PlayStation 4, and his name is Hazelberg3660. HAZELBERG 3660. Greg and Tim, I'm migrated to PlayStation 4 from the Xbox 360, and I don't have many friends to play with. I am asking to squad up with fellow best friends in Madden 18 Ultimate Team. I'm not very good at Madden's Ultimate Team. But Madden's Ultimate Team has been an annual addiction for several years now. I'm loving all the new content, and I'm excited to see how Kinda Funny grows from here. Keep up the hard work, Mike. P.S. Greg, you were right about Madden 18's long shot story mode. I highly encourage everyone out there to give it a try. Tim, on an episode of Gamescast, you asked Greg what his best NCAA football game was. My favorite was NCAA Football 06 because of its amazing soundtrack and the requirement to attend classes / take tests on top of playing football in Road to Glory mode. While this requirement wasn't necessarily great, I appreciate it added the touch of realism.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. I gotta say, Greg, I was a little let down that you didn't have an answer. I feel like for your love of these games, I get that you just enjoy games differently than I do, but I feel like I expect you to know the difference.
A favorite NCAA
to be like,
football.
I preferred NCAA 04 over 02, and like here's
just got better
03 was
year.
whatever. Yeah, just I don't know.
I was just playing it to play the game and run through dynasties and stuff. I never feel like anybody was really changed. I mean, it just looked better and got better every year.
I know Tony Hawk is different, but it was
different.
But it was annualized at the same. It wasn't much different in the sense that it was an annualized product that came out. That was just, hey, here's more maps. Here's one new move you can use and whatever. But it's like I would talk about the soundtrack, and which one I preferred, and like how the feeling of it. Or whatever.
See, but I mean, and then he brings up soundtracks too. I'm like, the soundtrack's on the menus. Who the fuck cares? I'm in there to play the game.
Yeah, that's so
I have
funny.
Brent
Because to me,
Musburger
sports
in my
games
ear.
is like Madden 04, bro.
Street.
That soundtrack was killer.
Yeah.
Game.
I like the
can
Madden
tell
one
you
that
much about it.
had Lucky Boys Confusion on it. I remember that. They had Hey Driver on one.
Yeah.
That was impressive.
I don't
But then
know.
they all just blur
No
together.
idea.
Don't worry about it. Everybody squad up with Hazelberg 3660 in Madden.
We got some of your wrongs, Greg.
What did we get wrong?
Yvain, not Yvain, just Vane. says many gaming outlets and organizations won't give awards to games that haven't only officially released. So since PUBG doesn't have a confirmed full release date before the end of the year, it probably won't be eligible to win awards by most organizations.
It's still going to win a lot of awards.
That is a very good point, but it's still going to win a lot, just not from the biggest of big dudes. But it's going to get a lot of nods, and it'll be brought up a lot in the conversations that 100%. Happen. Big Daddy Wolf says, I asked Dan Stapleton on Twitter if IGN planned on reviewing ReCore Definitive Edition, and he said it's not likely.
Okay, cool. There you go.
Clarification.
That's no, yeah, I like that. I like that. Yeah. They're also not reviewing everybody's golf. But I'll be playing it tomorrow. And I'll be talking about it at midnight.
And this is, again, more clarification, and this goes back to the 2011 quote. But Capitalist Pig says, Bethesda stated they turned down making a Game of Thrones game in 2011. Bethesda was approached to make the official game. This is a quote. Bethesda was approached to make the official games based on the novels years ago, and the company, all big fans of the franchise, were this close to taking up the challenge. With the Song of Ice and Fire, we went from, we want to do that, says Todd Howard. People in the studio liked it, and it seeped in a bit to what we were doing. But there was one problem, the soon-to-be created Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. Quote, we want to do our own world. That's where we wanted to put our time into.
I think they'll stick with that, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Target. Oh, that wasn't bad at all. Those are just clarifications and additions. I like that.
Good episode. Good job, Greg.
Time for this trophy can go fuck itself. Average Joe writes into kindafunny.com and says, I am here with a trophy that can go fuck itself. No, it isn't a trophy at 0.1%. And no, it doesn't require some crazy amount of grinding. It sits at 12.4% and is a trophy called Sorry Kid for MLB 15 The Show. What do I have to do? Catch a foul ball out of play. Should be easy, right? No, it's fucking not. It's 100% luck base, and I have played hundreds of hours of this game, and I cannot get it. It haunts me. The 98% completion on the trophy list taunts me. I refuse to buy another version of the show until I get it, and I would be damned if I ever let this trophy beat me. Anyways, got a little carried away there, but luck-based trophies like this can go fuck themselves. I agree with you. I agree with that. And here's who I want to give a shout out to.
Who?
Whoever was sitting next to you on the plane last night playing Madden 08 on a MacBook.
On a Microsoft Surface.
Oh, really? I apologize. Yeah. 08 on a Surface using keyboard commands.
Yeah, I was like, this fucking watching football on the Virgin screen. I'm like, this dude is committed.
Wow, that is a football fan right there. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to do the last question here about Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. It'll be spoilery, so I'm going to give you the whole outro before then. Tomorrow, Danny's on the show according to the calendar. Mm-hmm. Apparently, he's on 3 days in a row, which doesn't sound right, but it's on the calendar, so it's got to be true. Right? Right.
You make the calendar, right?
I make the calendar. I don't know. I drink a lot, too. Remember, this is Kinda Funny Games Daily. Each and every weekday on a variety of platforms, we run you through the nerdy news you need to know about before jumping into your questions, comments, concerns, bad PSN names, bad trophies, whatever the hell you want to write into about on kindafunny.com/KFG. I'm Greg. That's Tim. Subscribe, like, share, do all that. YouTube.com/kindafunnygames. You need to write in. kindafunny.com/KFGD. Remember, tomorrow I'm playing Everybody's Golf all afternoon long. Come play with me. bit.ly/KF Golf. That's capital K, capital F, capital G. It does matter. And you can just watch it if you don't want to play. But because I can't tell you if the game's good or not, I guess. But it'll be there if you want to see it. At midnight, I'll be able to tell you some stuff, maybe show some screenshots and stuff. So now we're gonna spoil Uncharted: Lost Legacy. Take the gloves off about Uncharted: The Lost Legacy.
Cool, Greg.
If you want to leave now, you can leave.
Bring it up.
If you want to stay, you can go.
Spoilers.
Does he know how to do the spoilers tag? He's looking around.
He did in Game of Thrones.
Oh, he did in Game of Thrones?
I don't know if we can do it in this show or not.
Maybe we can't do it in this show. Don't worry about it. I think this is good enough.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Spoil it. Hey, Andy. Cool, Greg. Get Candy Andy for me if he's around. I'm going to read Jacob Rome's question. This is now your Uncharted: The Lost Legacy spoiler cast, even though it's not that spoilery. Hello, Greg and guest. My name is Jacob from Texas. I just finished Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, and I would like to help make a case to you of why this is my favorite Uncharted experience. I bring this up due to the debate around the game in the recent weeks. Firstly, Uncharted: Lost Legacy's treasure to be retrieved is much more fascinating than previous Uncharted's. Marco Polo, a pirate, El Dorado, in my opinion, Marco Polo, a pirate, El Dorado, in my opinion, do not compare to the religious relic that has a fascinating story related to one of the world's largest religions. Secondly, the length of Uncharted: The Lost Legacy makes it a tight experience that does not overstay its welcome. Uncharted 4, for example, was way too long in the tooth. Thirdly, Chloe and Nadine had a relationship that was unique. Over the course of the game, I found myself worrying whether either of them were in danger, not something I quite felt for Nathan Drake, knowing he was invincible. There was no guarantee to me that Naughty Dog would keep Chloe Chloe and Nadine alive. Also, having 2 women of color as the stars of the game was a refreshing, rewarding experience. My girlfriend, also a woman of color, watched me play the game in its entirety because of the representation of women in color for the game. She has even mentioned that she would love to cosplay as Nadine for Halloween. I thought it was an extremely unique experience and would love to hear Kind of Funny Games Daily Show's thoughts on how this game could be the best one yet. Thanks and keep up the great work, Jacob from Texas. So yeah, we're doing the spoiler cast thing we mentioned before. Okay. So we're just talking about all the things we wanted and stuff like that, and all the things we wanted. I mean, I don't think the treasure was all that great. It was fine. You're going to get another. It was just another treasure I thought to get.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like the reasoning for getting the treasure was more interesting to me this time.
Yeah.
Like when we went into the different environments, I felt like they made more sense based on what the treasure was. And yeah, bringing kind of the religion and all that stuff into it.
Yeah.
Especially with Chloe kind of explaining all of it, made me care a bit more than some of the Marco Polo stuff. However, I mean, that's not always true because I did like the Drake's fortune part of it, like the actual relation to Drake or not relation or whatever it is.
I guess the tight experience and doesn't overstay its welcome is true, but it's what I think you nailed it with. Like it feels like the middle portion of an Uncharted.
And that is my biggest problem is that it feels like the middle. It doesn't feel like it has a real beginning and end, but it is the tightest. And I keep getting shit for this on Twitter, but I stand by it. All of the Uncharted games feel too long to me. I would much rather get them in chunks and have them be tighter stories.
And then Chloe and Nadine's relationship. With all due respect to you, Jacob, I can't follow you down this line at all. Like, neither of them were in danger, nor I felt like, all right, I understand, Jacob. It is literally now the 5th Uncharted game. Actually, if we're counting, and we're going to Golden Abyss, we'll do 6. What main character of consequence of the core cast has ever died? Like, it doesn't happen. They don't kill Sully. They don't kill Drake. They don't kill Sam. They don't, like anybody who you are going to be like, holy shit, that's a main character. And that's because Uncharted is this pulp adventure. It's Indiana Jones. It always ends with them smiling, sitting in the sun with all their loot or whatever, and then thinking about the next thing. Like that's what Uncharted is. That's what I was trying to when we were coming up on Uncharted 4, where Colin was convinced they were going to kill somebody. I'm like, they're not going to kill anybody.
I'm not so convinced that they wouldn't kill somebody. Like I still feel like even though it's a fun adventure, like the death can definitely happen, and I feel like don't bother tweeting me about Eddie Raja and stuff. Like I know people die. I'm talking about the people you care about.
Yeah, I feel like because they were, are they making the point that they were 2 characters that are not necessarily?
Yeah, because they're not as invested as Nate or whatever and Sully that they could be killed.
Sure,
and that kept him on his toes. He thought.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same thing. I felt the same thing for Nadine, not really for Chloe though.
Yeah.
For me, I'm just saying I disagree with you in the sense that in the series. That at any moment, like Drake could have died in 4, and like I totally understand him not dying, but I mean, but anyone could have died. Like anybody of the main cast could have died, and I would have been like, I get it. Like this is the story. In this game, there wasn't a single moment I thought I.
And that's the thing. I mean, like but the problem with 4 is that they never would have killed anybody of consequence because it would have been totally off tone for the series. You are ending the series. This is now, I'm going to count Golden Abyss, the 5th game when we're making Uncharted 4. You can't do that, number 1, because that just goes against everything that's happened. In number 2, if you did that, you're going to take it on the chin from so many people of both pros and cons of like, this is clearly a Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley game. This isn't an Amy game. Amy never would have done this for better or worse. And that's the kind of thing I think they wanted to stay away. They wanted to honor that legacy and and I think when you come back with Uncharted, whatever it's going to be next time, and it looks different, it feels different, it plays different, I think that's when you can get away with, maybe somebody does die in this. Maybe this goes.
This wasn't a Druckmann game though, right?
Well, no, it's Kurt and Josh and all them, but I'm saying like I'm talking about why Uncharted 4 couldn't do it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't buy that just because I feel like there was a lot of fake out deaths and stuff like that, and I know that at the end it never happened, but I feel like even if it did, especially with Uncharted 4 being the first next gen one, that's different enough to kind of move it along, and especially because it is the end. I don't know. I don't think it would have been as like, fuck you made a game. They would have never done that. Like, I feel like she would have.
She didn't.
Yeah, well, she didn't, but I mean,
she had 3, and
but she could.
She jokingly, she tricked us thinking we killed Sully twice.
Yeah, good lord.
Or Sully died twice, I guess.
Yeah.
I knew for a fact that like, yes, they're not going to kill Sam in this game. Like he just popped up like at the very, very end or whatever. So we are in spoiler.
So now you can spoil everything. Yeah, so that's the thing. So let's talk about the stuff we couldn't talk about before, the moments that actually mattered. Like I think that the end, I didn't so much. I thought the train went on too long. playing along and shooting it. But in terms of getting to the front, having the boss battle, having when we were running down as everything was falling, that all was fucking phenomenal. That was like my favorite part of the game. That was, and I talk about it in the review, right? That there's only like 3 parts where I was like, oh, this is something different. That was the biggest one, where we have the fight and then it's us running as the train's coming and we have to jump off. I was like, that's fucking phenomenal. I wish I could have talked about that, because I think it does explain, like you're talking about, when they took away the ability to talk about things in the review, we were very like, it's good. No, it's great. Blah, blah, blah. You can't say why we thought it was great. That was a great moment. I thought when you're climbing the rope into the helicopter and the helicopter's coming, I was like, this is an awesome fucking moment. This is something that feels different and not the Uncharted I've played a million times already. And then, of course, the final one was just getting on the elephant, which was right here.
Well, so yeah, the 3 things we couldn't talk about were the train, Sam, and the elephant. And I do think that those 3 things made this game much better than the way we discussed it.
Sure.
I think that the train sequence is one of the strongest action set pieces in the entire franchise. However, we've already kind of done it before.
Uncharted 2.
So it's like, this is a better version of the train for sure.
But it totally goes back to our points of making it feel like I've played this before.
Yeah, and I feel a little let down by the fact that they didn't do something different for this game, and this game didn't have any unique set piece. And again, that gets kind of shitty, because it's like, all right, just because you're on a train, they did a lot of different things.
Yeah.
You know, but a lot of it did feel the same.
Yeah.
And you brought up in the review that, all they really added for the core bulk of the set piece was the rope swinging.
You could swing on the train.
Was really satisfying and fun. But
first time I did it, I bit it right away.
Oh,
I
really?
had too much rope, and I'm like, well, I'm going to use that again.
I lit up when Sam first popped up. Like, I got so excited, and it made me care about the game instantly, like a lot more than I already did at that point.
100%. Like, and I think that was also one of the telling points of how I don't mean to make this sound, because I remember Uncharted 4 happens, we all review it, and I'm like, I like Nadine. I thought Nadine was a cool character, and I was kind of, not everybody was on that page. So when it was Chloe and Nadine this time around, I was like, oh man, this is actually cool. But then it's the hired gun thing. They go through, they start kind of building a relationship, but what I hinted at in the non-spoilery part, right, it was just like, they kind of have the same story. They both have dad issues, you know what I mean? But to varying degrees. And like, Nadine's out there because she's trying to get the company back because she doesn't want to go on her watch. And I'm like, but you're a company of mercenaries. That's kind of hard for me to cheer for and be a part of or whatever. And then when her and Chloe get in the fight, which was great, and she knocks her down and she's like pissed off and stomps off on her, I was like, oh, this is cool. But then she forgives her in a way that I felt very much like this would play if it was Drake and Sully or Drake and Cutter, but
if they have a long relationship.
They don't
have a long relationship. Just get over it.
You've warmed up to me on this trip, and now this one thing that I did that wasn't even that bad, but you're pissed about, like, okay, whatever.
The fourth thing that we couldn't spoil though was the revelation that Chloe has about her father, and how he died and everything, and that was a moment that I really wanted to talk about on our review. But I can talk about it now, and I fucking loved it. I thought it was really
Which
cool.
part? That he had already been there?
Yeah. That the little trinket that he had given her was from the horn.
Did you not see that coming?
From the no.
From the moment she fucking had this thing, I'm like, all right, can't wait to see how this fucking.
Yeah, I loved it. It was such a humanizing moment for her, because the whole time she's just been comic relief, sarcastic.
And that was the thing. Chloe's great in this game. Chloe's fucking awesome in this game.
Yeah, going off what you're saying is, I saw it coming from a mile away, but I didn't see the connection with the dad, and I thought that really brought the theme of this game, which is them dealing with their dads, together. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, this is a quality Uncharted story.
Sure.
But sorry, what did you just say before then?
I ran through Chloe's an awesome character, went through all these different things.
The sarcastic. Chloe's sarcastic. Yeah, the moment Sam came, I was like, all right, cool. It's not just dealing with Nadine. Like, Sam and Chloe and them talking, them having their relationship. I'm like, this is why I really like it.
And that's why I would have rather seen it in the long run flipped, where it was Chloe and Sam, and then we got to the end and Nadine was there, and she had been hired for something, and then and Sam's pissed off of like, why the fuck is she? Exactly. And I thought that would have been cool, because when Sam got there, it was immediately like, oh man, I care more about Sam. I know more about Sam. Sam seems like he would fit with Chloe better than it would fit here in terms of running around with Nadine, who was like the hired help, but not.
I almost feel like that would leave a worse taste in my mouth in the long run, though, of like looking back on the game, because you're right, I would have enjoyed it more from the beginning. But I feel like once Sam came in, I was like, all right, I went from being like, do I like this game a lot, to being like, I like this game a lot.
Yeah.
And I think that through the end, he was in a fair amount of it. And I think he was in enough of the game that I was like, all right, cool. And like, also, Sam is a character that can overstay his welcome as well.
Sure.
So I don't know. I was really happy with it, and once he got involved, even before he got involved, I loved the conversations about the Drake brothers that Nadine and Chloe had. So then once Sam was introduced and once Nadine felt betrayed because Sam was kind of in on it, there was all this stuff. I'm like, oh, this is so Uncharted. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.
So that was great. And the final scene, like, yeah, it's the cheesy Fast and Furious. We're all drinking beers on the beach scene.
Oh, but yeah, that's what I live for in these games.
But I was like, it was just so fucking great. And then the credit sequence was awesome. I loved the first half of the credit sequence with little like chibi art versions of all of them.
The post credits.
Yeah, and then the pizza post credits. Yeah. It was good.
What a fucking good game, man.
So there you go. That was what we spoiled. I like the elephant a lot too. That was fun.
Well, yeah, we didn't even talk about the elephant scene.
Yeah.
I thought that was a very cool video game, like modern video game way of being like, all right, we're going to actually go through some exposition here. But I was like, oh, this is a neat thing that hasn't been done in another Uncharted game.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
before we've had it in cars and like in other ways where they do the kind of narrative exposition stuff. But I thought this fit thematically with all of it. That was one of the moments that bonded those two characters together in a believable way. And I also feel like that was very just dependent on the environment and then having the elephants, especially since you just climbed a giant one and all that stuff. I was like, all right, cool. I like this. This makes it feel like it's not just more Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
Which a lot of the game did.
Exactly. And that was, exactly. It was a different set piece, a different thing. And there was exposition where it was finally making the characters connect. Like where at the end of it, you get back to the family and Nadine takes the photo of Chloe. Mm-hmm. And it was like, oh, that's a nice thing you finally did because we're finally on that thing. And then you get Maddie run away. But then we're fine again. So whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Kind of Funny Games Daily for Monday, August 28th, 2017. Thank you for being a part of it. I've already given you the outro, so I won't bend your ear too long. Just remember, be part of the show. kindoffunny.com/KFGD. And know that until next time, it's been our pleasure to serve you. Ooh, now I'm breaking eye contact.